Kai Bartlett, welcome to the Passion Project.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate it. You're on holiday. I'm super grateful you guys took the time to drive down and come hang for a few minutes and have a little fireside chat. So thank you.
Super stoked.
Really, really a pleasure to have you here. So the Passion Project is all about meeting with and talking to and sharing stories of really cool people that do really cool things, or really badass people that do really badass things. And you're all of that. And I will do a big introduction in a minute, but I just want to say thank you for what you do in the world that you're in, the world of paddling. You are very, very well known for a lot of reasons. So I'm just going to jump right in. And while it's not a paddling podcast, I always say it, like when I have Kai Bartlett in here, we're going to talk a fair bit about paddling, which is totally cool, but it's also so much more. Like we're going to do some storytelling. And I always think that someone like you that is very well known in sport and as a master craftsman in the boat building world, people usually know a lot from like that point on, but I'm curious, like what got you there? Like, how did you start? How did you end up in this space, and what brought you here? So that's what we're going to kind of dig through. And it's kind of like, this is your life, Kai Bartlett. Like we're going to talk all the way through and share some stories.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Stoked. All right. So this is I'll try not to embarrass you, but this is kind of the intro as to who you are for anybody that isn't aware from the paddling world. So Kai Bartlett is, first and foremost, a world-class waterman is the way I would think about it from everything that you've done and what you do. Multiple-time world champion in outrigger on multiple aspects of outrigger paddling, which is incredible, over a long period of time, which any athlete that's able to do what you do over decades is a testament to your strength and skill and tenacity and passion, and it's really impressive. One of the things that I'm maybe most proud of for you is being inducted in 2023 into the Hawaiian Waterman Hall of Fame, which is what an incredible honor. So I look forward to talking about it, and I was stoked to run into you at the 2024 one just a couple months ago, which was really special for me to be able to be a part of that and check it out. And then the reason that most people know you over and above the accomplishments racing is your boat brand, Kaiwa. You're well represented here, but one of the things that's amazing is not only do you make boats, but you're one of the very few people that has designed boats, made boats, then trained on those boats, then raced on those boats, and won world championships on those boats. Like nobody in the MLB, hits home runs on bats they made. Like it just doesn't happen. Yeah. So it's really an incredible testament to you. And again, these are all things we're going to dig into. And I would say, if you're an outrigger paddler or a surfski paddler, Kai, because the majority of butts have been in your boats all over the world, and the best butts in the world have been racing you for a long time. So the accomplishments by you, but also from your team and everybody that paddles. I mean, I paddled this morning, half the boats have your name on them, which is incredible. So whether it's Hawaii, Australia, California, Tahiti, it's you. That's got to be pretty special. So
yeah, it is.
Right? Really cool. Again, this is my setup, and then I can't wait to let you talk. One of the things that you say, which is really neat, is you refer to yourself as an adventrepreneur, which I'd never heard that term, but it's so rad. Like it really, I think, speaks to what you do, right? Yeah. Super cool.
I love the adventure of it more than anything. The racing's fun and competitive, but the adventure is where it's at.
See, I agree with that 100%. However, I think if we asked your wife over here what you would have said 10 years ago, and you're like, I like racing first, adventure second. And then I had a quote from a mutual friend that said, people will do anything for Kai because of the person that he is. And I was like, oh, how cool is that? So I just wanted to share that with you. And then there's one more quote. I think this is a quote from you, Kai. And it speaks volumes as to, I think, not only you, but why you're here. So here's the quote. And you were talking about your boat business, Kaiwa. It says, Kaiwa to me has always been a way to share and express my passions within paddling. My passion for designing, my passion for adventure, and my passion for community. I'm truly blessed to be able to live these passions each and every day. Not only did I love that quote, anybody that says passion 5 times in a sentence is supposed to be on this podcast with me. I mean, that's what this is all about. So super rad. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, it's cool. And again, we know a lot of people. I think I mentioned it earlier to you guys offline. I'm the perfect beneficiary of you being here, because where I know of you, I think I'm very much like most audience people. I know of you. I've never spent much time with you, but I know who you are. I know what you've done. I know your boats, but I've never had a chance to really sit down and chat. So I think whatever I'm going to learn is going to be a cool learning for everybody else out there too that may not know you as well. So super neat. So that's the setup. You've accomplished a fair bit, buddy. I mean, it's really impressive.
Yeah, I've been lucky.
Yeah. Well, I think I always say you make your own luck. I mean, there's luck in there, but it's who you surround yourself with, what you do.
Yeah,
and
true.
So let me ask you this, and then it's going to be all, that was the most talking I'm going to do today. Before we jump right in, the other thing that people that know of you also know that you've had a pretty challenging last few years. You look great, you sound good, but you've been fighting maybe more than ever these last 3 years with cancer. Do you want to talk about how you're doing? I think people would like to know how you're doing and how it's going.
Nowadays I'm doing really well. I'm in remission.
Awesome.
But it's a cancer that will come back. It's not curable. So I'll be fighting for the rest of my life. Yeah. And
how are you handling that? Like, how's that been for you and the family?
It's been it's been up and down. There's hard times and good times. Yeah. It's hard when you have to go away for a while for treatment and stuff. We've had to do a couple trips where we're away from the kids for several months. That's tough.
I bet.
Yeah.
You have a good family network around you?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I would imagine, as I said, like you guys in Hawaii, somebody also said like Maui is like Kai's Island.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing you have some pretty good family support around there.
Yeah, we have both parents around Molokai, so
gotcha.
Both sets of parents, so they've been helping out a bunch.
Rad.
Yeah.
Well, I would imagine you have a lot of Hanai family around as well.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Outstanding. Good. Well, it's really good to see you back. I know you were fighting. Let me ask you this. As challenging as it's been, I would imagine that with your ability, and I'm foreshadowing some of the discussions about training, but like you've spent your life being a grind, like you're able to train at the highest. You don't get what you've done on the world stage of competitiveness without having some real strength and grit and tenacity. Do you think that's helped you in what you've been dealing with?
For sure. I feel it's helped a lot, just the strength in fighting it, and wanting to fight it, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I suspect that she'd kick your ass if you didn't fight.
Yeah,
it
right.
too,
Exactly.
so.
Yeah.
And the littles. Because you've got three kids, right?
3 kids. Yeah. One's 19 and 5 and 7.
Well, those little ones are waiting. Like you've got a lot of work to do for a lot of years with them.
Yeah, big time.
Outstanding. Well, listen, thanks for sharing that. I know that's got to be a tough road. I'm glad you have such a strong supporter over here in Kea, and the whole paddling world has been supportive of you on this one.
Yeah, they have. It's been good.
Let us know what we can do to help. Okay, thanks for sharing that. I really appreciate it. So let's do this. I would love to start at the beginning if that's cool. So I know you're on Maui. I think you were on. I know you were on Oahu, but I don't know.
I was, yeah.
Where did you grow up? Like how did?
I grew up in Kailua, Oahu.
So on the east side.
Yeah, on the east side. I grew up there from 4th grade on through high school.
Were you somewhere before?
Yeah, we lived on Kauai and Maui when we were kids. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so lived on Kauai for about 5-6 years, and then Maui for a year and a half.
All right. So and then you've got Molokai. So you've got the majority, with the exception maybe of the Big Island. You've got a lot of the islands covered.
Yeah.
Kea grew up on Molokai.
Yeah.
You bounced around all the other 3. So other than the Big Island, you kind of covered some ground.
Yeah.
Neat. Do you mind me asking? Like, how many generations behind you? How did your folks end up there?
My mom's dad was in the Army, and they were stationed in Guam before moving to Hawaii. And then when they moved to Hawaii, he retired and decided to stay.
Smart man.
Yeah. And then my dad's dad was a banker and got hired at Bank of Hawaii in Kailua. And so they moved to Kailua.
Rad.
Yeah.
Do you thank them for that all the time?
Big time. Yeah.
That's
right.
great. All right. So you've always kind of been east side when you were on Oahu.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. And so you bounced around. So you said 4th grade on in Kailua.
Yeah.
So that was pretty formative. What schools did you go to for those that know that area?
I went to Aikahi Elementary till 6th grade, and then I went to St. Louis High School. It's an all-boys high school in Kaimuki. I did that 7th through 10th, and then I went to Kalaheo for 11th and 12th. Yeah.
Rad. And what was life like back then when you were growing up?
Oh,
on the east side?
life was easy.
Yeah.
It was a cakewalk. I mean, I feel bad for the kids nowadays growing up. It's got to be a lot harder. But I mean, life was great.
What do you fill your time with? What were you into?
Surfing all the time, as much as I could.
Got it. So always been a water. Was the water a big thing for your whole family?
Yeah, my dad was into surfing and sailing. He was a big hobie catter in the day. Yeah.
So, okay. So you start to see some of the formative stuff. I guess the obvious question is like, when did paddling start early for you?
No, paddling actually started late for me. I was 21 when I started paddling.
Oh.
Yeah, I started building boats before I started paddling.
Okay. This gets super fun and interesting now.
Yeah.
Okay. But there's a gap.
My wife says I did it all backwards.
It worked. It worked. So let me ask you this then. So you are in high school, all boys high school, until 10th, and then you go to Kalaheo for the last two. What was your focus? Like, did you have a plan? Like, did you think you were going to go to college? Did you going to go? What were you? Because if you didn't get into boat building until you're 21, there was a few years there. What were you doing?
My thoughts were after high school is just doing construction, and doing that bit, and I dabbled in different parts of construction, tile work, painting, a little bit of construction itself, and it was kind of inconsistent. And so when I helped, just getting into the boat building aspect of it, I helped a buddy repair his car, and we glassed his hatchback onto his Toyota Tercel.
Hold on. You glassed it, like fiberglassed?
Fiberglassed it on, yeah. Because we rattled it. It was rusty, and we rattled it off. He has two 12-inch subwoofers in his hatchback, and we rattled the hatchback off.
The base or the treble just truly rattled it off.
Yeah, rattled it off.
And so you fixed it by glassing it back on?
Yeah, glass it on, yeah.
Who would have thought that one of the premier boat builders in the world started by glassing the back of a Toyota hatchback?
Yeah, Toyota Tercel.
That's a good story.
Yeah.
Hold on. So I always wondered, like, my goal here is always like, I want to uncover something that even your closest friends go, I didn't know that. Someone didn't know that story. I'm sure some people did, but that's a great story.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're doing construction. So have you always been handy? Like,
yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. I always like working with my hands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're grateful that you found your way out of construction into boat building because it's been good for everybody.
So am I.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're doing construction. It's kind of unreliable. You're bouncing around the trades. And then talk more about, so you glass the back of a Toyota.
So I went in and glassed the back hatch of the Toyota on, and my buddy was working for John Martin at the time, who was a canoe builder.
Okay.
He built the Honukai two-man and the Naya. And John was watching me work, and he's like, oh, you're pretty good at it. You want a job? I was like, oh, how consistent are you guys? He's like, pretty consistent. We're backed up like 6 months. I was like, shoot, I'll take it.
Got it.
Yeah.
How did you get in contact with him originally?
Through my friend.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because my buddy with the Toyota Tercel worked for John, so we're fixing it at his shop.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Who would have known?
And the rest is history. So I started working for John, and
so hold on. You started building boats or working on boats. Were you doing repairs or were you building new boats?
building new boats.
All molded stuff?
Yeah.
Got it. And this is all fiberglass days?
Yeah, it's all fiberglass days.
This would have been what, the 90s?
Yeah, mid 90s.
90s.
95, 96.
Okay.
I worked for John until 98. And John's thing was all polyester, hand layup, fiberglass, mat, co-fab, and would build a boat a day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's fast, isn't it?
Yeah. But with polyester, it was easy to make it fast because it'd go off quick, so you'd trim everything and close everything by 3. But we were jamming. Yeah.
Super interesting. Okay, so and then you said that you worked for a few years and then you pivoted off. Let me stop for a second because we threw in an era. Let's back up a little bit. I'm going back. I'm totally jumping around. Back to your birthday.
Yeah.
So this is a fun story here. I didn't tell you this already. You have a big birthday coming up this summer.
We do, yeah.
You want to say how old you're going to be?
I'll be 50.
The big 50.
Yeah.
You want to say the day and the date or the month and the date of your birthday?
July 18th.
That's my birthday.
No shit.
Yep.
Sorry, bad word.
No. Swear all you want. July 18th. I've got 6 years on you.
No kidding.
Yep. Happy
Nice.
birthday. I knew I liked you.
Wow. That's
And here's
classic.
the funny thing. I mentioned my buddy Josh Da Silva.
Yeah.
Lives in Paia, born and raised Pukalani, where you guys live. He has the same birthday.
No kidding.
He's 1 year younger than me. One of my best friends, exactly the same. So
Classic.
now you got 3 of us.
Nice.
All right.
Nice.
See, it's like my cousin or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Gorge this year. We might be. Okay. I'm in. We've got the peanut gallery over here if you can't
Yeah.
hear Kea. Kea's helping out. Okay, so you've got a big 50th birthday, which it's great to see you looking so healthy and feeling better and stuff with
Yeah.
your big birthday coming up and with the littles at home. Okay, but it also backs up. So you were 21. So for 30 years ago-ish, you started slinging fiberglass.
Yeah.
And here we are. So walk us through it. Walk us through what happened from there. So you worked for John.
I worked for John from late 95 to 98. And he didn't really want to progress with his construction. And I had gotten into racing during that time. And so I wanted to progress. And so the next progression for me would be working for Corel, Tresnik.
Okay, let's stop for a second. So when did you start? Did you start paddling after you fixed the hatchback?
Yeah,
You
I
did?
started paddling. So I started paddling beginning in '97.
So
So I worked for John for about a year before I started paddling.
So you didn't start paddling until you're in your early 20s.
Yeah.
You made up for lost time.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you start, and you're spending all your time building boats with paddlers, and that got you on the water with them.
Yeah. We grabbed a boat out of the bushes and fixed it up. John had a couple broken down boats in the bushes, so we asked him if we could fix them up and get out on the water, and he allowed us to.
So talk us through, we'll get back to the boat building. Talk us through what the beginning stages of paddling looked like for you. Who were you with? What were you like? Did you dig it right out of the gate?
Yeah, I dug the paddling right out of the gate. I did my first downwind run. A buddy of mine, Dave Silva, and that's who I started paddling with. We went out to the Mokes one day with a couple beers on the canoes. Got out there, had the couple beers, and then decided, hey, well, let's head outside the Mokes and run down the Flat Island. And we did that, and we're out in the surf, and that's where the light went off. I was like, this is unreal. I'm dropping into bumps, I'm surfing. It's a different form of surfing than catching waves and ripping on a shortboard, but it was an awe for me. I was like, this is unreal. There's nobody on the left or right of me. I've got complete freedom, and that was it.
Well, if anybody knows, again, you've heard the accolades, but clearly that worked because, not everybody can ride bumps incredibly well. Like, I've talked a lot about my lack of ability. I mean, I'm a decent bump rider, but like what you guys do, whenever I see people that have spent time over there and really, like, it's a different sport. I always say it's like me surfing next to Kelly Slater, like same sport, but not even relatable almost.
Yeah.
And that's like paddling near you guys. But how fun. And also I love your analogy because I've always said like I don't surf as much anymore, but I paddle a ton, and I'm like, I get more water time and more bumps than, anybody that's surfing. It's not the same, but there's a lot of, especially in Hawaii, you are surfing all the way through.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Cool. And so, all right, you were talking about getting into the competitive nature of it. So you're paddling a bunch with your buddies, all one man at that time?
Yeah, all one man, yeah.
Okay, keep going.
And so from that, we got into racing, and I did my first short course race, and I won. So
what a surprise, everybody, right?
Yeah. And so after winning, I was like, this is something I should really look into and begin to formulate. Yeah.
So so you're working and you're building boats in somebody else's shop with their molds, and you start thinking, I want to go faster.
Uh-huh.
What am I, like, how does that turn into, like, walk us through how do you go from working for somebody else to like, I want to go do my own thing? How does that work?
That was kind of a scary moment because, you do your own thing, everything's up to you. But it was a big plunge that I eventually wanted to take on. I always knew from the get-go that that's what I'd want to do. It's my own thing. And
so you figured that out. You're working that, John, but you within you were there 3 years. You're like,
yeah,
I can do this.
I knew I could do a bit of it, but I needed to learn more. And so when I worked for Corel, I was working side by side with a guy by the name of Brent Bixler, who was doing all Corel's designing at the time.
So this is Corel Senior.
Yeah.
Right. If you're a paddler, you know the Corel Junior, Corel Senior, two icons in it. So you went from John's shop to Corel's shop?
Yeah.
And what were they making? What was different about Corel's shop than John's?
At Corel's, he was pushing the envelope with vacuum bagging and making the canoes lighter. He was playing with he was dabbling a little bit in pre-preg as well, but never really stuck to it. But he was definitely pushing the envelope with the vacuum bagging and making lighter canoes. So I knew that that's the progression that I needed to take.
So you're talking the technology of probably getting into the carbon fibers, the vacuum bagging, which is much more space. Like that's what they use for when they're working on all like the space stuff, aerospace and everything. So really raising the bar. What about from the shapes of the boats at that time? Did you see opportunity to go, or is that just part of the learning curve?
That was part of the learning curve, yeah. I think Corel's shapes were a little slower than John Martin's, honestly. I felt that when I jumped on Corel's shape for the first time. But just the lightness of his boats made up for it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Got it. Now, at the same time, so what was your role there? Are you doing the same thing? You're just working on the layups and stuff? You're not shaping or anything?
No,
you're just more
building
composite
boats.
work?
Yeah, just building boats.
But I'm guessing with two different shops, you're learning more and more techniques and different stuff, and you're learning more of that, again, aerospace approach.
Definitely.
So the bar is raised, and you're adding to your quiver.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then at that same time, were you still doing one man? Were you getting into, because you have a big 6-man, 9-man background as well. Did that start around the same time?
It started, my 6-man background started in 99, actually 98. I raced Novice B.
For what club?
Molokai, for regatta season. And we won our state championships. And then I went out for distance that year, but didn't stick to it. I quit right away. I just
really?
Yeah, I just wanted to surf.
Got it.
Yeah.
Surf. Now, when you say surf, you're talking surfboard. Oh, surfboard.
Yeah, surfboard surf. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And it was in '99. I did regatta season in '99. I wasn't planning on actually doing the season at all in '99. I was just going to one man and have fun. And John Fody, we're staying with Jim and John Fody, Corel Jr. and I, during the relay, we're staying with them in the same room. And John's like, "What's you guys' plans for 6-man this year?" I was like, I don't think I'm going to do it. He's like, "Well, what if I said one-man time trials would decide senior crew for regatta season?" I said, "Oh, well, maybe I'll think about it then." And that was it. I showed up and made senior crew every weekend. Yeah. And then come distance, I was so fired up on paddling senior crew all season. I wanted to stick around and do distance.
Gotcha.
But distance was another story. I wasn't getting the good seats.
Well, it sounds like one man was really like right out of the gate was kind of your specialty.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. That hasn't left you.
No.
And Lonnie Kai, you were with Lonnie Kai Canoe Club for a long time, right?
Yeah, till 2005.
Again, and you just mentioned the Fodies, another storied paddling family.
Yeah.
And Lonnie Kai at that time. So can you talk a bit about Lonnie Kai? And because going from one man with a couple buddies to a 6-man, 9-man, and a whole club is a different environment. How was Lonnie Kai for you formatively at that time?
Lonnie Kai for me was it was a rough start. I was getting punished a lot.
Define punished. What was happening?
I was getting placed in second crew, third crew, and respectively. I mean, they knew I was a good one-manner, but they wanted to prove me wrong or whatnot, or get the best out of me, I guess. And our coach at the time was Gail Barangi, and I feel that he did a good job at that. He would try to push you down and see how much he could get out of you, and
kind of the tough love coaching.
Exactly, yeah. And
I didn't do that well I had a coach like that. I didn't bounce back from that kind of coach. Sounds like you did. Yeah,
no, I was lucky I did, because once I bounced back from that, I was first crew every year.
So it made you like you had that like eye of the tiger. You're like, oh yeah, I'll show you.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly what he wanted.
Yeah.
You responded well to.
Yeah, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
And so from that point on, you were in first boat.
Yeah.
And how did you guys do?
The first year we got fourth. That was 99. We ripped our canvas in seat 4.
Is this, you're talking Molokai?
Yeah, yeah. And so we had a big hole in seat 4, so we were constantly taking on water. In 2000 we won, and in 2001 we lost by 2 seconds.
2 seconds?
Yeah.
Over, was that the 40-mile course?
Yeah, yeah,
That's incredible.
yeah.
Against, who are you? Who?
Team New Zealand, Hawaii.
Wow.
Yeah. In 2003 or 2002 we got fourth. We didn't have a good year that year. And in 2003 we got second to Team New Zealand.
So,
Hawaii.
but you're right at the top. So let me ask you, like, how formative, you mentioned the coach and that his tactics really got you to elevate. What about the guys on the boat with you? Like, are those, I'm guessing, that's a pretty tight community of people, especially if you race for years. Like, are those pretty close folks to you still today?
Yeah. I'm still pretty close with Jim and John and all the guys I paddle with, Pete Binney and the Broom brothers and
A bunch of hammers.
Dave Daniels. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
And
you paddle together for so long, you have that special bond.
what was that? I mean, when, like, I think you say that, I think about like the movie, The Boys in the Boat.
Yeah.
Like really finding that flow and being able to.
I found that very similar.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
And I also, just because NAC is such a big part of my life, like you just watch the camaraderie in the community and like that super tight, like it is kind of that old, like the one bad apple, but like if everybody's together and working strong and everybody's fired, like it's pretty magic when it's on, right?
It is.
Super neat.
It feels effortless.
But it's not. And so from that point on, are you continually doing 1-man and 6-man, 9-man season? So you're just fully in.
Yeah, year round.
Got it.
Yeah, you take a little break between the end of October and November, December, and then you jump back into it in December, so you're ready for the beginning of 1-man season in January.
No rest for the wicked.
No,
a little bit of surf here and there, right?
Right, exactly, yeah.
Wow, it's pretty amazing. Okay, so let's go back into, so you're basically, you're racing and you are figuring out your way in the boat building world. So you're at the Fody shop. What happens there from there?
So when I was at Correll's,
Corral shop.
Yeah, I learned how to shape from Brent Bixler, and after a while, Correll is a real intense guy, Correll Senior, and so I kind of got over his intensity. But I mean, his intensity was good in one way. It taught me how to work efficiently and quick. So I praise him for that. He taught me how to be real efficient and fast at what I did. And so I took that and the knowledge I learned from Brent shaping and I left and started my own thing.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was in 2001.
How was that?
That was a little spooky at first, not knowing exactly, where to start, how to start. But I started by licensing a hull from another builder, and that really helped me out.
Jump-started a little bit?
Yeah, jump-started for sure.
But so you had mentioned when you first got your first job, when you went from construction to working at John's shop, you're like, I'm looking for consistency.
Yeah.
And then when you go from Correll's out on your own, you're like, I'm naked. I got nothing.
Right.
I got to start.
You don't know what kind of consistency you're going to get.
How long was that scary?
It wasn't scary for too long, because once people heard I was going to start building, it was called the Wave Blade, the 1-man that I was licensing.
I think Will Reckenstein talks about that when he was at UH. There was an old wave blade that they went down to the Alawai and paddled, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
All right, I didn't know that you were doing that one.
Yeah, so that was the boat I was licensing, and once people found out I was licensing it, they started coming in and placing orders. So I was like, oh, right on, this is actually going to work out. So they knew me from Correll's and building boats at Correll's, and I had a good reputation there. So
how long were you at Correll's?
2 years.
So you're like 5 years in at this point. 3
Yeah.
years with John, 2 years with Correll.
Yeah.
That's pretty quick turnaround to like go out on your own.
Yeah.
Got it. And that early boat that you licensed, what did you call it?
The Wave Blade.
But was it already Was it Wave? Was that the brand, or did you start Kaiwa already?
Yeah, I started Kaiwa already.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's the Kaiwa wave blade.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Rad.
yeah.
Okay, and so go from there. What happened?
So from there, the guy that had that design wanted me to redesign it for him, and we redesigned it into the Polaris. And I did a sit inside seat cockpit, did different footwells, narrowed the nose a little bit, and did a little bit of aesthetics on the deck.
Got it.
Yeah.
How did that boat go?
It was super successful.
Was it better than John's and Corell's at the time?
Yeah, I think so.
People started gravitating towards you?
Yeah, we were slammed with orders.
So you started strong.
Yeah.
Right out of the gate.
Yeah, right out of the gate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So making boats today, it's all computers and molded technologies and stuff. That's not what you were doing, right?
No.
Like, how did you?
Still, I don't do that. I still hand shape.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I like hand shaping because you see the actual product. You're not looking at a screen and at something miniaturized. You're looking at the actual size of it and the actual dimensions of it all.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know you were still doing that.
I like getting down and dirty with it.
Well, I mean, again, I think of like the surfer, like I mentioned, like there's not many people that have done what you've done as far as designing, hand shaping, training, racing, winning all the way through on your own boats. So having that knowledge, like where you could look at a boat and go, I think I need more rocker, I need more whatever it is. Like most of us just get on a boat and go, it feels pretty good, right? Like unless you're at that extreme level where you could go out and feel the difference in that little change you made. And then you can go back and change it. And what's interesting watching guys around here, whether it be like Jimmy Terrell or Will Reichenstein or Brent Campbell, all these, or Micah Scott, all these guys that work on boats, like you all have these boats that look like Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Like you take it, you're like, all right, this is what I think I want. And then you go paddle like, ooh, I got to go change it and cut it up, bondo it, put it back, try it again. And it like, until you get the right one. Is that kind of the process?
Somewhat. It can be the process. This last time around, I had one prototype and I took it out and it didn't work. And so I just completely reshaped it.
Oh.
I started from scratch. Yeah. And
that's that, like the ability to be able to go out and do that. Because even if I was a world-class craftsman, I'm not good enough to know the difference when I would, like it takes that, both abilities, the craftsman and the master paddler. I don't know if that's the term, but really neat that you still do it that way. I don't think anybody else. I think everybody else is doing it all on CAD, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that's super neat. Okay, but let's go back. So you make the first wave blade. It's got good traction. You just keep on building them from there?
Yeah. We got pretty slammed with the wave blade, and so we're doing 2.5 a week, and that was comfortable. It was me and one other guy, and so for us it kept us busy. And so
when you say you and one other guy, you're shaping it, or at that time you molded it, but you're doing all the work. You're doing all the resin work or carbon work.
Yeah.
And, wow.
All the spraying and the painting and
Really?
Yeah.
Everything.
All the finishing. Yeah.
And wow.
So I basically just had a guy help me with the layups.
That's incredible. I mean, I didn't realize. I mean, because that's for anybody that's not super familiar. You're talking a 20-foot, give or take, 21, 22-foot boat.
21, yeah.
Plus, you got to fit like all the attachment points for your akus and there's just a lot to it.
Yeah.
Wow. And you were hand shaping the prototype. So for the molds, you were just doing that all out of like a EPS foam block.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You glue several blocks together. Yeah.
No, I guess so. Yeah. It's hard to get a block that big, right? Really interesting. And so the wave blade, you start paddling it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
How did that go for you?
It went well. The boat worked well. I just found it very uncomfortable, and that's hence why the Polaris came into. Mm-hmm. The footwells on the wave blade were too vertical, and so you'd get cramps in your shins, and the seat was really uncomfortable. So after the Molokai solo, I told the guy, I said, hey, we got to redesign this, and he said, go for it. And so I completely redesigned it.
Interesting.
Put a box in so you could put a cushion seat, and I changed the footwells. I didn't give him my footwells, so I gave him the design, but not the footwells. Yeah.
So you just mentioned Molokai, and I'm bouncing between boat building and racing because they're going hand in hand. You're making a new boat. So did you race the Wave Blade from Molokai solo?
I did, yeah.
How did it go?
1 year. I got third.
You got third.
Yeah.
Was that the first time you did Molokai solo?
No, I did the first solo I did was 98. Yeah.
When did you, this will like sound so like pedestrian, but like when was your first win for Molokai?
2002.
2002.
Yeah.
In what boat?
In the Polaris.
So, okay. So here's part of it. Why are you so busy with these boats? Because you're winning you're top
you're
five
right.
every race. Molokai,
Yeah.
you're third on a boat you didn't really like. Then you go out and win it. The first year you have the Polaris.
Yeah.
Which instantly gives that boat credibility and you credibility.
Yeah,
right?
it did. And I won Aaron Napoleon and I won the relay the 2 weeks prior to that. So it really boosted the
And so when you say the
credibility of
relay,
boat.
that's one boat, two paddlers, you're going in and out.
Yeah.
In the same Polaris.
Yeah.
Okay. So 2 back-to-back 2 weeks. Everybody's calling you.
Yeah.
Hey, I need that boat.
Yeah.
All right. That's where
It was
it all started, right?
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah, blast off.
Yeah.
All right. And Aaron Napoleon also, when you talk surf, also world-class surf. Talk world-class waterman, the whole Napoleon
big time.
family, right?
Yeah, world-class waterman for
Wow.
sure. Yeah.
Okay. So
he's magical in the canoe.
I can only imagine all of those guys, but that whole family is so well known. There's so many of those the Hawaiian families, multi-generational waterman families. But it's really crazy. He's probably been paddling the family canoe since he was 2 years old.
Yeah.
And you started when you were 22.
Yeah.
And
21.
21, and by the time you're 25, you're winning Molokai. Dude, that's an incredible 4 or 5 year accomplishment. That doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
Good for you.
So I say I'm pretty lucky.
Well, let's talk about it right now. How did you train to go or walk us through clearly you've got some skills and you had the desire to do it, but to go that fast, to be making boats and figuring out what you want and training and you go out and win it within 5 years, what was there's no secret to success, but what was how did you get there? How did you figure that out?
Definitely hard work. Putting in a lot of time.
Time in the bump.
Time in the bump, time in the flat. I remember one time I was doing sprints outside Kailua Bay and my buddies were inside partying on the beach and they're like, come in. I was like, no, I got to finish up, man. This is what I got to do.
When did it become your goal to get to be that good, or did Molokai become your what?
In '97 when I won my first short course, that became my goal. Yeah.
And so you had mentioned earlier that long course and the 6-man boats, you weren't really that into it. But by the time you got in the Lanikai main boat,
yeah,
and you started doing the distance, you got the distance bug.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And then now you're out training harder. Your friends are partying. You're like, no, I got
work to do.
Did you have a clear goal? You're like, I want to effing win this thing, or?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you grow up being that competitively minded?
Not necessarily, no. But I think I had it in me. My mom was a marathon runner.
Oh.
Yeah, so I think it was always there. It's just I needed something to flip the switch.
Needed to find something to make you want to go that hard.
Yeah, and paddling was it.
Did your mom train hard for her marathon running?
Yeah, she did crazy workouts.
See, I'm a huge. We were talking offline about your kids, and they have such incredible DNA between the two of you from athletics. Kay's got a big paddling and collegiate volleyball background.
Yeah.
Your kids are going to be hammers. But I also believe osmosis. Kids watch their parents do what they do. If they're partiers, guess what? The kids are going to party. If the parents train really hard, they're going to train hard. If parents are no, it doesn't always work like that, and sometimes it takes a while. But I believe that wholeheartedly the kids watch and they figure it out. So mom's running, you're like, oh, mom can do it, I can do it, or maybe totally subconscious, but for sure that leaves a mark, I think.
Yeah, I believe so too.
That reinforces
you remember seeing mom go through all those days of hard training when you're young. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll influence us for sure.
Yeah.
I totally believe in that. Okay, so you've got the bug, you want to win this. Your first year winning it was 2002?
2002,
2002.
yeah.
How old you would have been?
I think I was 27.
Rad.
Yeah.
And And that continues to be you weren't one and done. You're like,
no, I want more. Yeah.
I want more.
Yeah.
And at that time, so the Scorpius is really well received. Did you love that boat, or do you like, oh, I can make this go faster?
The Scorpius, I really liked the Scorpius. It floated well, and what's interesting about that boat, it had a lot of volume. So once you got your speed up, it held its speed, and I think that was just because of the volume it had.
Interesting.
And so it'd be real soft on the paddle. Once you got your speed up, that initial feeling of entering the water with your blade was softer because you already had to glide. And I did well with that boat. It was a little big for most people's liking. Yeah, so it sold pretty well, but it dwindled after time.
Well, you're probably a dozen boats or more since that first really accomplished boat, probably more. And I'm guessing there's little bits and pieces of all of them baked into the newest ones.
Yeah.
As you go through,
yeah,
like,
for
okay,
sure.
that worked, that didn't, I'm going to add that, keep adding,
Yeah.
and get them faster and lighter and the whole
Yeah.
bit. So how often would you come up with a new boat?
Whenever needed, really. That's the main thing, is when it's needed. So with the Scorpius, I would say 2 years later, I just developed the XM off the Scorpius. I basically just cut it down in size, and then
Kind of aiming for smaller paddlers,
Yeah.
women, et cetera?
Yeah, and then a year later, I cut it down even more and made the XS out of it.
Gotcha.
And those boats went well for a little while, and then I did the Aries in 2014.
So the Aries is the boat. See, in this is one of those ones where it's like, it's still one of the primary boats out there winning races that most people are getting. You're still mass producing them. Half the boats out here are Aries.
Yeah.
And it's a 10-year-old, 11-year-old
Yeah,
boat. Like,
yeah.
winner. Like,
No,
that's an
totally.
incredible accomplishment.
Yeah,
Right?
so big time. I let the Aries do its thing. I didn't want to rush into designing something because the Aries was doing so well, and I just felt that recently it was a good time to come out with something. So
Yeah.
we came out with the Vela.
Yeah, brand
Yeah.
new. That's just, people are just starting to see them right now, brand new.
Yeah.
Give us a quick little overview. What's special about them? When you've had the Aries with, again, 10 plus years of success, what's different about this one?
The Vela, it's kind of a cross between our Draco, our flatwater model, and the Aries. It's got a narrower nose, somewhat like the Draco, not as narrow as the Draco, but narrower, and a little less nose rocker. And then the tail, from about a foot back from the back Yako to the tail, is pretty much similar to the Aries.
So it sounds like a really good California boat.
Yeah,
Is that-
I think so. I think it's going to be a great California boat. It'd be good for, the all-around waters here, when it's flat, when it's surf.
Well, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of them when that next container shows up, because everybody's been talking about
No,
it.
I'm stoked. Yeah, Lindsay said the first 2 containers are sold out, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Well, kudos. At the same time, that's not the only new boat you have right now. You also came out with a new 6-man.
Yeah.
Right? What's that?
The Hydra, it's something different out of the 6-man. It's a shorter 6-man, but we have ample rocker in it and volume, so it floats really well and gets a good glide. Yeah, she surfs really well.
If anybody's listening, there's this common theme of surfing well for
Yeah.
this guy, for Kai.
No, it's always the case.
And then I just heard truly this morning that you have a new surfski coming out as well.
It's been out. It's been out for a little bit.
Has it?
Yeah, it's the Vega Arc.
The Arc.
Yeah.
What's different? So unlike most of the other canoe builders, you're the only one building canoes and surfskis.
Yeah.
And so you started with the Vega Flex, and the Arc. Is that just a layer down? Is that what it is?
It's a little wider than the Flex. Yeah, so we did the Vega at first. I always wanted to do a surf ski. That was like a lifelong, not a lifelong, but.
Do you have a paddle? Do you have a surf ski or K1 background yourself?
No, I started surf skiing. I started dabbling in the ski, a while ago. I'd say 2002. I started dabbling in the surf ski a little bit, and then when the Epic V10 first came out, I got one, and used that for quite a while. And there was times where I'd just surf ski.
Really?
Yeah, I actually licensed a surf ski from Billy Rebello once called the, what was it?
I don't know.
I can't remember what it's called, but I licensed a surf ski from him for a while. So I had one of those and used it pretty religiously for one summer. And so I did a bit of surf skiing, but I always knew I wanted to design one, especially with Pat Dolan being a surf skier.
Yeah.
Yeah, so him and I collaborated on one, and that came out to be the Vega.
Well, Pat Dolan is another one of your proteges, or
Yeah.
I mean, so let's talk. We'll talk about surf ski, combining surf ski and outrigger. So like when you said like that one summer, why do both? Like what do you find different between the two? Obviously, so I don't want to go too paddle nerd for anybody that's not a paddler on this one, but you're doing the same thing, but you're doing it differently. So what do you find to be interesting or fun or cool about surf ski versus outrigger?
The surf ski is more cardio, and so I appreciated that aspect of it, especially going back into the outrigger. The only problem is if you do too much surf ski and you go back into outrigger right away, you feel a little weaker in the outrigger, but your cardio's there. So you're a little quicker on your stroke. Yeah, it's super interesting. I don't know why you feel weaker.
Yeah. Well, and it probably helps with your balance to some degree as well,
Yeah.
since you don't have an outrigger. Oh, neat. And so just because you mentioned Pat Dolan, talk about Pat's year in 2024. Pat had just like a friggin' unbelievable year on all of your boats.
Yeah, he did. Pat had an incredible year in 2024. He started his season off a little easy, but you could tell in his voice when you talked to him after each race that he was hungry and gunning for it. So I knew he would have a good end of the season, and I mean he just killed it in the solo.
So outrigger, so the Molokai solo, what did he do? How did he do?
He won and he broke the record by like 11 minutes or so.
And you referred to him as a surf ski paddler. Clearly he's more than that. And then what other races did he? So he won it and set the record, which is incredible. It was like it was a crazy record.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. Okay. And then he has two other really big races this year.
He did the surf ski solo, and I think he got second in that.
And then
to Corey Hill, and
then the gorge.
Yeah, gorge. How did he do it? The gorge.
Top. I think he was second or something.
Really?
Somewhere up there.
Yeah.
I mean, just.
Yeah, he was, I believe. Yeah.
Big year.
Yeah.
What a cool accomplishment, and what a great testimonial to your he's jumping from Kaiwa outrigger to a Kaiwa surf ski.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool and impressive to be able to.
He's a great human too.
We'll talk about that too because you have a great team and ambassadors on the whole bit. So we're back to the boats, and we don't need to go through the whole. It's fun that you have all the boats or constellations, and there's a video on YouTube if anybody wants to watch. Like you talk about the evolution of your whole range of boats and the names and where they came from. Like super cool. So if anybody's ever wondering, it's all out there for them to find. But at the same time that you're building all these boats, you're racing them, and you're having some banner. And we were just talking about Pat, but I mean that was you over a 15-year, 20-year period. You were either in Molokai World Championships every year, first, second, or third, for the most part, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk just about what it takes to be that accomplished at that level over that period of time? Because you've also got a business and a family. Like it's also not a pro athlete like, any of the pro sports where you're getting paid to do it. You're not getting paid to spend all your time training and all your time on all the things it takes to be at that level. So what was it like for you?
It definitely takes dedication and it's really an art of juggling. Especially with family and everything else. It's a true art. With the full-time job as well. There'd be times where I'd take off lunch and I'd go train during lunch, and then I'd come back and jam, and then I'd go train in the early afternoon. There's a lot of times like that, or I'd wake up early and train before work.
So you're doing two-a-dayers.
Yeah.
Almost forever. And were you doing that with other people? Were you doing that by yourself?
It depended if someone was available to go. Otherwise, I'd go by myself.
You're going on your own no matter what.
Yeah, exactly. I'd just go.
And where was your shop? Like, were you close to being able, you could just run down and paddle if you wanted to?
My first shop in Maui, my first shop in Kailua was in Waimanalo, and that was a trek from the beach, about 20 minutes. And then when I moved to Maui, my first shop was in Haiku. So again, it was a trek. But what I generally do in Haiku is I'd run at lunch. I'd run a loop.
And Haiku's in the hills, so are you running hill loops when you're up there?
You're running up and down and all around. Yeah, so it was a good run.
I would imagine.
Yeah. And,
so you were fully, like, again, I think it goes without saying, you don't get to that level without being 100% committed, but like you've mastered the art of juggling, but you're going hard.
Yeah.
Hard.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I mean, your business was going really strong.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
How many people... you brought it up, and so I'm going to bring it back. So Maui, when did you move to Maui, and why?
I moved there in 2003, and the reason I moved was my ex-wife, she had a 6-year-old son, and so they're well established on Maui, so I decided I'll just pick up my business and move to Maui and start the relationship over there, just because with my business I knew I could do it anywhere in Hawaii and still be just as successful. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
Got it. And not to Haiku, for anybody that doesn't know, is to get to Haiku, you have to drive past the Maliko run every time.
Every day.
Which is one. Talk about Maliko real quick, because I know that must be a pretty formative bit of water for you.
Maliko it's a great run. It's it's got to be one of the all-time runs out there. It's a 5-star world-class run. And I mean, we're pretty lucky to have that in our backyard.
Yeah. And you do an event there, don't you?
We do.
What's the event?
It's a Kaiwa Strong race, and we hold it at the end of the year, after all the one-man races are over, so that everyone can come and have a good time and booze up at the end and enjoy themselves.
That's cool.
And we really just threw the race on. The original reason for having the race was they just opened up racing again in Hawaii. And we wanted to run it.
Is this after COVID?
After COVID, yeah. And we just wanted to put on a race where everyone could come and have a good time. Right. Yeah, so we have a martini bar. Last year we had a martini bar and a margarita bar. And,
where do you set up?
The first year we set up at Hawaiian Canoe Club, but the last couple years we set up at Kanaha, at Laula Canoe Club. And it's a shorter race, so if it's calm water, it's not too taxing on you. If it's downwind, then it's quick, short, and sweet.
Yeah.
But Kanaha's it's a pretty killer place to finish. It's well shaded.
It's pretty iconic beach right there too.
Yeah.
And that's cool. It's interesting. I've had Billy Whitford in here and Bud Hull who talk about the history of it, and they talk about the races here and how it's gone away from being like kind of Ohana, where it's almost like a full weekend event or a full day event. And they're like, now everybody shows up, does a race, and goes home.
Yeah.
And so I love that you're trying to get people to hang and be a part of it and more community, right? Because it's such a big part of it, but it is, you don't see that to the same degree, at least over here these days.
Yeah.
And they're trying to bring it back too. So
I
think martini bars will certainly help with that.
Yeah, sure, for sure. Yeah, keeps them around a little longer.
Well, that's great. And is that a big turnout? You guys have a big turnout for that?
We've had great turnouts, yeah.
Well, the Malik, for anybody that's a paddler of any craft, like there is just, it's the most, as my friend once told me when I told him I was going over there, I was going to use Maliko to train for Molokai. He's like, don't do it. And I'm like, what do you mean? It's down. And he's like, no. That's like riding a bike down a hill. And Molokai is going to be like paddling in a washing machine. And I didn't listen to him. And it's exactly what happened to me. I just got smashed.
Yeah.
But Maliko is just the most fun downwind. Because it's 90% of the time it's super manageable for everybody.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It is so fun.
You get, it's protected a little bit from, the main groundswell. So yeah, it's pretty manageable. Yeah.
Yeah, and for most of us from over here, we don't know enough to know. Like we just, can I go paddle? Most of the time, like when you talk to people like you and the locals that know every little nuance, that, hey, the wind swell was off or whatever. Most of us from here, we get over there and it's just a field day, because a bad day on Maliko is like world-class day here in Southern California, right? So we always take advantage. I just did Hawaii Kai when I was over there, when I saw you at the Waterman Hall of Fame. That was my first Hawaii Kai run, truly my first one. And I was like, oh my God, it's so much fun. And the locals were like, it's kind of shady day. The angle's wrong.
Yeah.
I was like, for me, it was as good as, I was like super happy, Beggars can't be choosers. Listen, all those years that you're doing Molokai and you won Molokai 4 times?
5.
5 times.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so amazing. For a lot of those years, the competition was pretty tight with the same guys.
Yeah.
One of those years, so there's the Corell Jr., Danny Ching, Jimmy Austin, you. Every year it's like first, second, third, fourth, kind of a revolving door for a bunch of years.
Yeah, there was a handful of years where it was Corell or myself.
Yeah.
It was like we'd switch a year. Corell would win one year, I'd win the next. He'd win one year, I'd win the next. He'd win one year, I'd win the next.
How is that cool, or was it a rivalry? Did you want to go punch him in the face? Like
yeah,
what?
It was definitely a rivalry. And to that point, yeah, where you guys get angry at each other and stuff. Now we look at it and we laugh, and we respect each other really well. But back then it was a heavy rivalry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you like during the peak of those years when you're trying to win it every friggin' year? And if you get like from a level of intensity, if I had met you 15 years ago, what might be different about Kai?
My level of intensity was it was there. I would have fun before the race though. I wouldn't be super serious at the starting line. I'd be trying to joke around and stuff. Where Corell would always be real serious.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. But I'd be disappointed if I lost, but I wouldn't be heartbroken. I would say in the 6-man was where I was more intense.
Oh.
I was real vocal and really intense in the 6-man.
How come? Why? What was different about it?
I think just because you're with a group of guys and you're trying to be a leader with the bunch, and trying to push them to strive for more, and yeah.
When you moved to Maui, who did you paddle 6 and 9-man with?
My first year there, my first 2 years there, I paddled with Hawaiian Canoe Club, and or was it first year? And then after that, we moved to Wailea.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, because when I first moved there and paddled for Hawaiian, all the Wailea guys came to Hawaiian to join us, and so after a couple years, we weren't having fun with Hawaiian. They were just too high strung about states, and they would do a lot of bad things to guys before states, like cutting them and then asking them to come back. And
We call this paddle ticks, right?
yeah,
A lot of paddle ticks.
Tons of paddle ticks. So I said I'm out. I'm not paddling here anymore. And so all the Wailea guys, we all went back to Wailea.
It's not uncommon, right? People, I think Billy and Bud talked about like the evolution of all the canoe clubs. It starts with one, and then someone pisses somebody else off, and they go open a new one next door.
Yeah.
In Honolulu, where I spend time, there's 2, 100 yards apart.
Right,
And it was
right.
They're all splinters, right? They all kind of for that same reason.
Yeah.
And they come and go, even at NAC. Some years are up, and for 5 years, and then people. Yeah, it's interesting how that works. But there's a lot of personalities. I think that's why some of us choose to stay in one man.
Yeah, right. No, exactly.
You
You don't have to deal with it. Yeah. But we've had a good thing at Wailea.
Is that who you still paddle with?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Rad. And you guys have a good run. That's the Kihei run on that side, right? Is that what you guys call it?
That run can be pretty epic.
I've never done that one either.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to get over there and do it.
The Kihei run will put Maliko to shame on a good day.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's neat. So back to the rivals. It's just a super interesting one because you mentioned Corell. You worked in their shop and then left, and then you're paddling against Corell Jr., battling for years. And you kind of said, you're like, yeah, there were some times and now it's all good. But it's, the thing that people don't recognize if they haven't spent much time, the islands are small.
Yeah.
There's a reason that they say that Las Vegas is the 9th island. And I talked to one of my buddies, and he's like, oh, Mark, Vegas, when you live on Kauai, everybody knows everything you do. He's like, when I go to Vegas, nobody knows anything and nobody cares. Yeah. And so I would imagine there's only so many canoe clubs. It's a small island. You're very well known in that island. I can just imagine, or in all the islands, it's probably very interesting, the dynamic when you're jumping clubs and battling people. It's just got to be a very interesting, cool, but I'm sure there's some, I don't know, strife or some.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
There definitely is. And, when people leave your club for another club, that builds up emotions as well.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
So let's go back to, again, I apologize to keep going back, but Molokai during those years, tell me about, yes, it's the world championship. Yes, you're battling against the best paddlers in the world over a 32-mile stretch. What is it about that that race, that channel, that goal? Like, why was that, and still today, so important for you over these? I don't know if it's changed why it's important, but
no, the Kaiwi is it's the pinnacle of it all. You know, it's what you strive for. The challenge of the Kaiwi, you know, whether it's surf or flat, but it's definitely the pinnacle of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it is an incredible body of water, and for those of us over here that either have heard of it or have dabbled with it, to watch those of you that are really skilled at it it's like art.
Yeah, it is.
It's unbelievable. Like I watch you guys ride bumps that I can't even see.
Yeah.
You know, and I've told the story a lot about some of my experiences in that channel, and like I just never figured it out. So what's the key? I think you've already kind of commented on it because of how you've done it, but like if somebody goes, Kai, I want to get to be really, really good in Molokai. How do I train for that?
I would say you move the Kailua. Move the Kailua, yeah, and train off Kailua. You know, train between Rabbit Island and Birdshit Island.
What is it about that? Is it just
it mimics a similar run to the channel. You know, like that quartering run. Yeah.
I've asked the question this way too. If somebody lives in California and can't move to Kailua or to Maui, how can someone train well for the Kaiwi channel?
I would say just getting out in the bump whenever there's bump. Big time. I mean, Danny's done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I had Danny in here and we talked about it. I'm like, how did you train for it? You know, like every crappy day, all the guys I know that do well in it, like from here, they're just on the snottiest days, they're going paddling sideways in it. You know,
Right.
Really have to challenge yourself.
Yeah.
Because what I learned, and someone that you know well said, like, it's not a surfing race. Like, there's so much more to it than surfing. Mm-hmm. You have to know the channel, you have to know the currents, you have to know the tides, you have to know where the reefs are for the
yeah.
I didn't know any of it.
Yeah, the reefs are a big thing, and there's one reef we should name Tahitian Reef on the inside of Portlock, and it's claimed a lot of Tahitians.
And because they go shallow with 2 miles to go.
Yeah, they go shallow and rock up.
So after 30 miles of being at the front, and they go just dry dock on it.
Yeah, dry dock on the reef, yeah.
So gnarly. But that happens in the surfski race, like, again, because there's waves breaking, so people are trying to, it's that razor's edge.
Yeah, there's that fine little short channel to get through.
You got to know it.
Yeah, you got to know it. And if you don't know it, you just dry dock yourself.
I go way wide left and stay away from it. I'm not smart enough to figure that out. There's other channels that you've paddled quite a bit. I mean, you have a big background in channel crossings and islands. Any favorites or other ones that you really enjoy?
Pailolo is always a good one.
Maui and Molokai.
Maui and Molokai, and then also Maui to Lanai. That's super epic.
Is it really?
Yeah, because it's more direct downwind than Pailolo is, and it's unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now you've spent a lot of time on Molokai, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, again, one of the islands that you've been on many of them. They're all set up. If you know, it's just like surfing. If you know where to go and when to go, you can get great downwind runs anywhere, right?
Yeah, Molokai, it's super easy. To do a come low run, it's like a 5-minute drive up to drop the truck and get in the water. I mean, yeah, it's unreal. It's a perfect setup. And then generally we'll just paddle down to my in-laws' house or my parents' house. And
Hold on. Your parents are there too?
Yeah, they're there too, yeah.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, so you've spent a lot of time on Molokai.
A little bit, yeah.
All right. And you over there have spent a lot of time, grew up on Molokai. I didn't realize that. All right.
Yeah.
So you can just paddle from one house to the other.
Easy.
Island to island or downwind.
Yeah, right. You can paddle Maui to home.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
How fun. Those are runs I've yet to do that I'm definitely looking forward to.
Kamalo is definitely worthwhile. It's a run that's it's protected from the big groundswell, but it's all wind generated, so it's a shorter chop. So it's easy. Once you lose one bump, you're dropping into another. It's just
So from a non-paddler, like it's what we dream about. I mean,
Yeah,
really, right? That's
definitely.
that's outstanding. How fun. Are you still getting out there a lot?
not as much as I should be. Yeah. I did a procedure June 2 years ago, year and a half ago, and it took a lot out of me. And so I'm slowly trying to gain it back, but it's been a super slow process. So my paddling's not as it used to be. So it's a bit frustrating as well.
Are you able to start? Are you working your way back? Are you able to?
Trying to, yeah. But
Now-
I could be doing more to achieve it.
Well, we can always be doing more.
Yeah.
Now, Kea mentioned that you guys did a race, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
How'd you guys do in that?
We got second overall.
And
in
how
the-
did
in
you
the
feel
team
about
event.
that?
I was disappointed on my performance. Yeah, I thought I could have surfed. I could have got us in the bumps a little better. I knew I was kind of the weak link. So, yeah, I was disappointed
Your wife's
in
shaking
myself.
her head and giggling at you.
Yeah.
You got second. I mean, but listen, that's the mind of a competitor, and the mind of a winner is like, you don't want to lose. Like I
Right.
think we've all figured that out already, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So even second with your wife, and you're like, nope, not good enough. All right, I guess you guys have more work to do.
Yeah, I
But
got
that's-
work to do.
But listen, if you didn't care or you didn't want to push, it wouldn't be you, right?
Yeah, you're right.
And you probably would. I had asked you offline, like, how much did your tenacity and your grit and your strength and your will to go hard, how well did that benefit you in your treatment?
Yeah,
It must have, right?
yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
Especially in the beginning, I was ready for anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the mindset you need,
Yeah.
right?
You do need that mindset, because you go through. I mean, they send you through the. They send you through the crap.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and the stuff they put in your body to kill it is basically killing you to save you,
Yeah,
which takes all kinds of tolls, right?
yeah. The stuff I'm on now is actually pretty good.
Good.
It's a T cell. They're injecting T cells into me, so it's not as chemical.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you look great and you sound good, and you guys got second in a race last week, so you're definitely
Yeah, I
on
mean,
the rebound.
I got to say, I'm lucky that I can still race. I mean, I'd say, a lot of people in my position might not be racing or able to.
I think for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely for sure. However, we had mentioned Will Reichenstein, his dad, Willie, who I paddled with this morning, similar disease, and he's still at 75 years old, still hammering,
Yeah.
even in spite of it. So good Hanai genetics there, right?
Yeah, right,
Which is
right.
great. Listen, we have talked a lot about people. I'm super curious about your team and the ambassador, but before that, let's talk more about Kaiwa and running the business. You've now been doing this for 25 years on your own. You took a big leap, clearly hit it right out of the gate with the Scorpius, and you're now world known, very respected in the boat building, everything world. A couple things about it. One, running a business is hard. And two, you pivoted a little bit. Let's talk about the pivot, and then we'll talk about running the business. You went from hand shaping everything, and now you work with a third party that produces a lot of your stuff. How has that been for you in the business, and how has it been to kind of take your hands off the day-to-day construction of all the boats?
That's been a blessing, and especially, looking at everything that's happening now with my health and stuff. It's a huge blessing. So what we do is we hand shape everything, and then they digitize it and redesign it on the computer and send the program off to China, and then they construct everything there. And since I shut my doors in 2017 to my shop, it's been great.
So you truly do not have a shop anymore.
I just have a shaping shop.
Got it.
At home, yeah.
And that's just you out whenever you want to go shape, you can go out and just
Yeah,
grind foam.
Yeah,
And then once you're like, this is it, they'll digitize it and go from there.
yeah,
Wow. And they being Ozone,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And they make it, I mean, I've never been to their factory, but I mean, the end result is unbelievable what
It
they
is.
make.
Yeah,
Super high tech, incredible.
Yeah. And that's what got me to shut my doors. Was once I had enough faith in their product that it was better than mine, I was done.
And I don't know the business model, but it must be something along, you split the proceeds, they handle all the construction, all the distribution, and put your name on it. You design it.
Yeah,
It's a brilliant thing. I mean, what a great opportunity that you went down that path? Because I think a lot of people would have gone, no, I'm going to own it. I'm going to keep doing it my way. And then had you run into your health issue and not had them ready to go and already going,
Yeah.
it could have been very different, right?
Yeah, it would be very difficult because I wouldn't be able to build with my health issues. Yeah.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. But it's a really, I mean, their construction and stuff is top notch.
Well, talk about the new Vela that's coming out. What's that thing weigh?
It's probably 18 pounds.
So this is 20 feet long, 16 inches wide, carbon fiber, 18 pounds.
Yeah.
Like people that don't know look at them and go, oh, until you pick it up. I mean, it's really staggering construction.
Yeah, the pro models are about 16.
I love the pro models.
Yeah, right, exactly. they're nice. They're really nice. But yeah, so distribution is going well. They take care of all the distribution. You get a 10% royalty off everything outside of Hawaii.
Got it.
Yeah, and then in Hawaii we buy everything wholesale.
Good for you. What a great setup, and what a great deal to give you more time with the littles and to come talk to me
huge,
and
huge.
deal with your health and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's huge.
And that's really cool. But I think it's still so rad that you still hand shape it.
Yeah.
I just thought you did what everybody else does, which is computerize it and do it all on CAD.
I just have too much fun hand shaping.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
You can't give that up, right?
It's fun mowing foam.
Yeah, and I would imagine so, and really getting to do what you love to do. Let's go to the business, and then we'll keep going. What's it like running a business, or have they really simplified it? Because now it's much more streamlined. Right?
Well, I'm lucky that my wife runs it more. Yeah, so she kind of took over and does most of the running.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, family affair.
Yeah, big time.
That's great.
So I'm lucky with that.
Well, you've got some pretty incredible women in your life.
Yeah, I do.
Like, I've had Krista Zur, who we're going to go into the team and the ambassadors, but I've had Krista and Rami in here, 2-time gold medalist, paddles your canoes. Lauren Spalding, paddles your boats. Can you talk a little bit about her in the channel? Like is she the most accomplished outrigger paddler, men or women, as far as wins in that channel?
Yeah, she is. She's got like 11 or 12 wins.
And some surfski too, right?
And some surfski, yeah. A couple surfski, yeah.
And she's got an Olympic background as well.
Yeah. She was in the 2004 Olympics in Greece. Amazing. Yeah.
So there's 2 people from your team. We talked about Will Reichenstein, who's on your team. You've got this. You have some of the my point is, you have some of the best paddlers in the world paddling your boats. That's got to not only feel good, but like I'm guessing you have a bit of a community there. Like, let me do it in the form of a question. What kind of people do you want representing you and your brand?
Humble for sure. Outgoing, hungry. Yeah.
Would you let an incredibly skilled top paddler asshole be on your team?
No.
I kind of thought
definitely not. I'm not into the assholes. Yeah.
So
you got to be likable, approachable, and certainly humble.
Well, that's what's so great. I always say thank you for that. It's so great. I love that. And I always say that my experience in the ocean endurance sports of prone, outrigger, surfski, et cetera, the people that win are the hardest working, the best athletes, but they're usually the most humble and coolest at the finish.
Yeah.
Or at the after party, or when you run it, like yourself included. Like, it's just so, I think there's so many sports you don't see that. I think we can give tons of examples of pros and people at the pro level that are making all this money. Like, you guys are training this hard, as I mentioned before, for no money.
Yeah.
There's no sponsorships in these sports. Yet I would put you up against anything. Then there's like, yourself and some of the names we talked about winning this world championship. I don't know. Was there any money at all?
Not much.
Not much.
Yeah. 2,500 maybe.
Right? 2,500, If you take that same work ethic, same skill set, and you applied it to professional sports, you'd put 4 more zeros behind that.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a passion play. It's the same thing with collegiate sports. Paddlers don't get scholarships. You go to NAC or anywhere in Hawaii, you have to be in volleyball or in any of the stick and ball sports. Mm-hmm. But you get world-class paddlers here. There's no scholarship. There's no money. the same kids that are training in the same facility for rowing are getting full ride scholarships to the best schools in the country, or volleyball or
right.
polo, et cetera. It's unfortunate. I don't know how to change it, but it's a bit of a travesty, I think.
They're starting to look at some of the outrigger high school paddling. The rowing clubs are, the rowing colleges, and they're
really?
Yeah, they're starting to recruit some from high school paddling a little bit, not much, but a little bit.
It'd be cool to see that happen. It would be worthwhile. On to that, I mean, and again, I'm just looking at the list and we won't go through, but we talked about Pat Dolan, we just talked Krista and Will, and then you've got all these other, again, best of the best. So let's talk real quick about the Tahitians, because you have some Tahitians on your team. The Tahitians have really changed the face of paddling in a lot of ways. Now in Tahiti, they are pro athletes, right? I mean, they are supported by the country. Small country, not a lot of sport, and they're incredible. What is it about them? Because again, you have some of them on your team. What is it about the Tahitians right now in the sport of outrigger paddling that's making them so good?
I think they train a lot. They train on the rudderless a lot, which I think makes you a better, well-rounded paddler. I think because of the way the rudderless is, it makes you stronger. So when you get on a regular canoe and you can just paddle straight, it's a lot easier.
Yeah. They train really hard, but they've been unbelievable to watch in Molokai and everything else. But you've got like Kevin CJ on your team, who's, I mean, best of the best. It's been fun to watch. I guess the question is, how is it when you've been racing at the elite level on your boat and you've got other people racing against you at the same level on your boat?
Oh, it's great.
Is that great? Like,
Yeah.
hey, if you beat me, at least beat me on my own,
Right.
on my own canoe.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a no lose at that point. I know
Yeah.
you want to win, but you're like, if you're going to beat me, you better be on a kaiwa'a.
Exactly.
That's super fun.
Yeah.
How funny. Because some of those, I mean, again, a lot of these people are winning these races. How's the next generation of paddlers looking to you right now? Like,
I think it looks pretty good. You know, you got kids like Wyatt out there, Spencer, Allen. I think there's a good little group coming up.
they're starting young.
Yeah,
and
they
you've
are.
got kids doing Molokai. Okay,
Yeah.
at 14, 15 years old now.
Yeah, and Wyatt finished 7th overall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he 15, 16 this
15
year?
or 16, yeah.
And then you see some of these young kids doing the foil on the channel too.
Yeah.
Like, it's really, for anybody that hasn't, if you're interested in endurance ocean sports, just bring up Molokai, because any craft that you watch, whether it be outrigger or prone or foil, it's just unbelievable to watch when really talented people like you and your people are connecting the dots all the way across.
Yeah.
And your average speed is so high. It's
Yeah,
just,
the
it's
foil,
magic.
the foil is incredible.
I watched a foil go by me on the Hawaii run.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't, I mean,
Like you were moving.
it was unbelievable. I
Yeah.
loved it. I mean, I'm a foil frother that doesn't foil. I say it all the time. Who do you hang with? Like, you're on Maui, you've got all these people wearing your gear, paddling your boats. You've got like the Hanai family we talked about. Like, what's a day in the life of Kai? Maybe exclude what you've been dealing with health-wise, but if you're not spending as much time in the shaping bay and you're not paddling as much, right? Like, what else are you doing?
Yard work. Yeah.
Good answer.
Yeah, yard work. Just doing stuff around the house, or picking the kids up from school.
Got it.
Yeah.
The good stuff.
Yeah.
Are you?
Trying to fish now and then.
Yeah. Is that another passion? I think that I've
Yeah.
heard that is another
Yeah.
passion of yours. What's the biggest fish you've ever caught off of an outrigger?
57.5 pound Alua.
That's like a skipjack for in
Trevally.
Oh, trevally.
Yeah, giant trevally.
54.
57.
Did the thing pull you around for an hour or two?
It pulled me upwind pretty good.
That's so
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
Rad. Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. I know I'm bouncing around, but there's so much interesting stuff. I could go all day with you. I ran into you, I mentioned earlier, at the Waterman, Hawaiian Waterman Hall of Fame. You were that was here in 2024. You were inducted in 2023. How was that for you?
It was pretty heavy. I got up to speak, and I started tearing up when I was speaking. It was. I looked at it as a big blessing. Couldn't have come at a better time, but
Because you were in the deep of your fight.
yeah, almost, yeah.
Kaya said almost didn't make it.
Yeah,
so.
almost didn't make it because I was in the hospital. Yeah.
I just got to say, as a fanboy of Waterman anything, to be inducted in that crew, I was super fortunate to be able to go to that event this year. But that's like chicken skin for me. You being inducted to that is, I don't know if there's a better accolade you could ever ask for. And
No.
It's great to win the races. It's great to build boats and have a great reputation. But to be acknowledged by the whole Waterman world,
Yeah, that was
dude,
pretty special.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Like, I get
That
chicken
was,
skin just
yeah,
thinking
it
about
was super
that.
special.
Yeah, good for you. Huge congratulations. Well
Thank you.
deserved. Very, very well deserved. We talked a little bit about family. Do you think the kids are going to become paddlers?
I would hope so. I'm not sure though. We got them in the canoe already. They've been out. They enjoy it for a short time being. Yeah.
Or volleyball?
They
or something else?
they have good technique.
Well, I would imagine between the two of you, whatever they want to do, I think they're going to be tall, they're going to be ripped, they're going to have super competitive nature, and they've got great support. And again, osmosis, like, come on, right?
Yeah.
So
It'd be nice to see them jump in it.
well, I think it's just a matter of time,
Yeah, that or the volleyball.
or all of the above.
Yeah,
Right.
both.
I actually really love.
I think they coincide well together.
Yeah, anytime somebody can do multi-sport these days, we're gonna go down a path, but I just don't believe in single sport at
Yeah.
7 years old. You just give them every sport and
Yeah.
see what they love and see what they can get good at and be capable to go out and have fun and say yes to anybody at any time.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? That's what I think. Are you still as passionate and fired up about paddling and boat building and the whole paddling world as you have clearly been for the last 25 years?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. Like I went along with the Wailea guys this year in the Molokai, Hawaii, and I got teared up a couple times. Just one, wishing I was out there with them paddling, but two, just enjoying how well they're doing.
What's it going to take to get you back? Is your goal to get back in the boat with them?
Yeah, for sure. It's going to take a bit though. I feel. Yeah, my balance is a little off, and
Is that one of the side effects of?
yeah, I think so.
Gotcha.
Yeah, my stroke is a little funny.
Magic wand a year from now, or like magic wand, what do you get to go back to doing?
If I had a magic wand, I'd go back to paddling with the boys and being up top with them. Yeah, I feel like if I was myself, a couple years ago, today I'd still be in there, even though I'm old.
Dude, I have no doubt whatsoever that you would be up there. And my suspicion is you're going to be. This time next year, listen, when you turn 51 on our same birthday, I'm going to give you a call, or I'm going to come visit and make sure that you're back in that boat.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're going to be back in the boat. I have no doubt whatsoever. That's incredible. I mean, listen, if anybody has the grit, tenacity, everything I've talked about to get back in the boat, and the people around you to do it, and you already got second place last week, I'm not too worried, Kai, that it's not going to happen. Woo! What's next?
Just trying to find my way back again in the paddling. That'd be what's next. Shaping wise, I probably won't be shaping anything for a little bit.
Well, you've got three brand new boats out right now.
I've got enough going on. Yeah.
Are you excited to get in? I mean, I'm sure you've spent some time in it. Are you excited to get on the Vela and go get it figured out?
I am. Yeah. We got our first Velas in Hawaii just before we left.
Oh.
Yeah. So mine's sitting on the shelf at home.
Everybody's been talking. Even this morning, people were talking about it because they just arrived this week.
Yeah.
So just the first demos, or not even demos, people's first ones have just started to show up.
Will just got his. Yeah.
So pretty exciting. There's a lot of air about it, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Very cool.
It's super cool for us.
So the next race season. Now, do you think that's a boat that'll compete with the Aries for Molokai?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Maybe if it's like last year's Molokai, I'm not sure. It was big and super windy, but if it's anything up to 25 knots, yeah.
Interesting. It's going to be fun to see what happens with that one.
Yeah.
Are you going to be at the Gorge or any of the upcoming? You're going to be up there?
Yeah, we'll be at the Gorge.
Awesome.
Yeah, because we're going to do my birthday up there.
Oh,
Yeah.
I might be there with you. So
Yeah.
that would be super fun. We'll celebrate
Yeah.
together. Gosh, I think I mean, I could go all day, but I think that what I'd like to say is thank you. Thank you for all you've done for the sport. Thank you for battling and leading a really great example for your family and for everybody else. And thanks for sharing the story. I think all the people that know bits and pieces will be stoked to hear A, how you're doing, and then B, how you got here, which is a great story. And if people want to find out more about you, where's the best way, you or Kaiwa, what's the best way?
Online. Yeah. I don't know if we have much written up, though.
Well, there's plenty. Your website's really good.
Yeah.
And I'll share it on the pod. And there's tons on YouTube with you.
Yeah.
Tons
Yeah.
of stuff. So if anybody wants to learn more about just about anything that you do, there's a
Yeah.
lot out there.
I'm sure there's a couple of interviews on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, listen, Kai, and Kea, thank you so much for taking the time and being here and sharing the story. And I really appreciate it, and keep up
Yeah.
all the good stuff. And here's to your health.
Thank you.
And to July 18th.
Right on. Yeah.
Thank you, buddy.
Awesome.
I appreciate it.